Hello, I'm so glad you're joining me today. I'm Beth Golden, and today is February 28th, 2019. And I thought I would jump on here and show you guys. I'm going to put together kind of a fun art journal page, and I'm going to do a comparison of some alcohol markers. So let me first get my page ready for my little elephant dude that I'm going to create. I'm going to be using some ink, which is the Dylusions ink spray. And also I have supplies listed down below. So, and if I couldn't find the supplies, I did like ones that would work. So make sure you check out the links down below. So this is the Dylusions. I think this is crushed grape. And I am going to do some stamping and a stencil with this. And this is just basically to set up my page for what I am doing. And just so you guys know, I do lives on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at noon. Or I always will have something at noon on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that may not be a live. But I like to do lives because they're fun and they are fast for me. I think it's silly to take a video that doesn't need to be edited and upload it on my computer so I can upload it on YouTube. So I just prefer to do lives. No way, shape, or form do I ever think that anyone can watch these all the time right when I go live. So if you guys if I led on to that at some point, I apologize. That's never been my thought process. It's just, for me, these are super fun and they're easy for me to do, and it just seems like it's a better use of my time to upload directly on a live than having to take a video, put it on my computer, and literally upload it to YouTube. That to me is just silly. So anyway, I'm using the border stamp stencils. These are the brick ones, and they come as a set with a stamp and a stencil. And as you can see, I have not opened this up yet. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this, and I'm going to be spraying the stencil, and then I'm going to be stamping the stamp with probably my teal ink that I have for the Dylusions ink. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so she has these kind of fun, she has the front on here, so they kind of line up really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to stamp my image, and then I'm going to spray over it. And how I'm going to stamp is I'm going to be using her stamp block. And I love this thing. It's a stamp block. It can use to guard my pages if I'm misting. So it's so awesome. I really like her stamp block. And I'm just going to get this off. All right. So I'm going to pop this down, and I'm just going to do this in a couple different places. And I'm going to use the teal. There's 4 colors I have here: Dirty Martini, the teal, the pink, and then also this beautiful black marble. And you know what? I'm going to use the black marble. I changed my mind. I do that from time to time. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And I really don't care if I get total and complete coverage on this, because I'm going to go over and spray it. So I don't want it to look absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to do that off to the side there. And then I'm going to do it. Again, as you can see, I'm not doing a very good job up here. And you could make an entire brick wall if you wanted to, but I don't want to. And actually, that didn't really, I have to actually go over like this, because my page is not really allowing me to do that. So I need to take and reposition this off to the side. There we go. So I can just kind of get it in the corner right there. And then I want to get it down here. And that's all I'm going to do for the stamp. And now I'm going to go over with my stencil, and I'm just going to go ahead and spray it, but I'm going to kind of cover right there. And let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to take my spray and just go over it. There we go. All right. Wipe up my excess that kind of made a mess with over on the side. Ooh, that's a fun sound, huh? All right. So I'm going to just take and just kind of lay this out to save some of that ink and just do kind of a reverse image on it, which is always kind of fun. And I'm going to be doing just this side today. However, you know, in the future, I do like to lay things off on the other side over here because I can use that later and it will all be cohesive. But for this project, I'm just going to work on this page. So I'm going to set this aside, and as this dries, we are going to do a Copic marker comparison. And what I did was I took this new set from Dylusions. It's also available on Blitsy, so when you're over there looking at the things I have listed, you might want to try to check this out as well. I think it just became available yesterday. I could be wrong. I think it's Blitsy that they have it. And I'm going to be using the elephant, and then I will eventually use this sentiment stamp down below. The more I see of man, the more I love animals. I love the sarcasm. So I've just stamped 3 different elephant heads, and I'm going to be using 3 different alcohol markers on these heads to compare and contrast the different brands, because as you know, alcohol markers are super expensive, and you know, you want to know what you're spending your money on. So what I have is I have the top of the line Copic markers, which I'm using a pale blue gray and a pale lavender with this one, and then also a grayish lavender. And then this is from a Copic set, which is this. It's an economical set, believe it or not. It comes with 36 colors, and they're all blendable, so they're not, you know, they're all the blendable colors that can work together. Then the other marker set that I'm going to use, which is in the middle of the line, is this it's from Close to My Heart, and it is the Shinhan art. So these are about $8 a piece. A Copic marker like this is about $8 a piece. I got this one back when you could get them for $6.50 a piece, but now these days they're like $8 a piece. These markers through Close to My Heart are $6.50 a piece. And then finally, Brutus Monroe has out the Style File markers. And these markers, I want to say, are $3 or $4 a piece. And I also have the blender for the Style File and the blender for the Copic. I don't have a blender yet for the Close to My Heart ones, so I'm going to try to use one of the blenders from the other markers to make that work. Now, something I want you guys to keep in mind, these are called blenders. They're not. They're really erasers. In order to blend in your color, you need to use your lightest color, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and that'll blend. This picks up color and takes it away. So I don't really use these as much as I thought I would, and that is why I have not bought one for this. And the reason why I only have the two of the grays for this particular brand by Close to My Heart is just because I haven't ordered them yet. So that's kind of where I'm at with those. So from here, you're going to want to use ink that is alcohol friendly. I like Memento. Simon Says Ink Pad has another one out. It's their black pigment. That one works well. So we're going to start with the top of the line and just kind of work our way down. What I like about Copic markers is they do come with these wonderful numbers and letters on them, which shows me what I need to blend with and what color families work together. So I know that for this one, I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start with that one. I'm just going to color it off to the side first. I also am going to be working on a scratch piece of paper because I do have a glass mat. Alcohol markers are notorious for leaking through your project and then coming back up through your mat. So we don't want that to happen. And I'm going to start off with this pale, let's see, I had it figured out. Pale blue gray. That's what I think it was. Yeah, pale blue gray first. And I'm just going to cover my little elephant in all of it. And again, these are the Copics. So I know that the color that's on the tip of my Copic is going to be true to what comes out of my nib. And there are two types of nibs. I like them. There's this brush type one, and then there is this, it's a broader nib. I usually use these brush tips, and to me, it's totally worth it. And if you're having a problem with your Copic markers bleeding or leaking, you're going to want to take the lid off of both ends, and that'll keep it from bleeding. Okay, so I'm just doing this first base color down of my lightest color. And then from here, we're going to start to add in our shading. I by no means am a color expert, but this is how I've learned and it kind of works. So this is my second color. And at this point, I'm just going to kind of go in where the illustrator went through and really mimic her lines and make them, you know, nice and big. I'm just making my swooshy lines nice and large, like so. And I really like coloring things that are nature, because I don't have to be totally perfect. I do want the little snout to be a little bit darker. Okay, so I got that side done. I'm going to go over to this side. My fingers are dirty from my spray. So let me clean those off real quick. All right. So I'm just going over, and again, that's a hard time remembering to do that. Just going right over all of those lines that the illustrator provided. And I want to get this up here too. All right. Now from here, I'm going to take my darkest one and go over some of those areas again, but I'm going to go with a lighter stroke. And if you just follow the illustrator's line she put down or he put down, you're going to be left with really, really good, accurate shading. Now this looks hard, I know, and we're going to go in and loosen it up with our blender, not the blender, the first color we used. The lightest color is what we're going to use to blend with. All right, so I have those down, and I'm going to go back over the whole thing with my blender. And this is just going to blend all of those colors out. And it certainly does. It really loosens them up, lightens them up, and gets them to move around, which is exactly what I want. And if I want more detailed blending in certain spots, I would just hit those spots. All right, so this is a Copic marker, and as you can see, I am no colorist, but that does look pretty good for a little elephant. He does have some shading in on him. And I'm going to set this one aside, and we're going to move on to our next grade, which I'm just going by price, you guys, on grade, which is going to be the Close to My Heart ones. And I've never used these before, so this is the first time for me. The colors that I have chosen are warm gray, and they're both warm grays, warm gray 4 and warm gray 7. So let's look at the nibs on these. Okay, so this is a chiseled end nib, and then this end is a fine end. So it does not have that brush type end that Copics are so famous for and what we all love. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and start this with the warm 7. I'm a little bit nervous about this. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit darker than anticipated. That's going to take forever. So I'm actually going to go over it with this chiseled end first. And the color does actually line up quite nicely with what is on top of the lid. So I'm happy about that. I don't know how I feel about not having that really nice end nib that the Copic markers have. This color though, the smell on this is nice. Lays fairly well. So again, I'm going to go in just with this one now, and just gonna, because I don't want to color in my eyes. But it looks like they share the same barrel of ink because the colors from both nibs are exactly the same, which is nice. And this end is really nice for detail. I actually kind of like it. It's working really nice just for getting in these tight spots. Okay, I'm digging it. I like it. let me see on my Copic marker, what is the end? So I have that end, and then, okay, so this one doesn't have a fine end. So that's beneficial for getting into your tighter spot. So for this, I'm going to go over with the warm gray 7. And again, I'm just going to use that same technique I used on the other one for this. And then I'll go back through and blend it out with that pen, hopefully. So I am just staying right on this illustrator's lines, just like she did it. It is super dark, but that's okay because of what I'm going to do with these elephants after in my art journal. All right, so I have that done, and I'm going to go back over with that lighter color again and blend it out. And it seems to be doing the same thing that the Copic does as far as blending, which is good. It does blend it out rather seamlessly. Take this one in. You know, I have a couple other colors over there, so I might try to throw on a little bit of blue just to see how that does. So I do have 3 more colors. These are them. I have the tender pink, the turquoise blue, and the vivid green. So let me take my turquoise blue and just kind of put it in a few spots where I can. I probably won't blend this out because this is, I think, a lighter shade of the gray that I used. Okay, so that's kind of cute. All right, so I used the 2 grays. The grays, obviously, from the Close to My Heart line, which is by Shin Heart, are much darker than the grays I used from Copic, which is going to be okay. We can still work with that, but those are still pretty cute. They all lay the same, I'm noticing. You definitely want to have something down when you're using the Close to My Heart one, because look at the back, that really leaked through. And the back on the Copics did not leak through as much, so that's something to keep in mind. Could be another difference. Now finally we're going to go to the more economical one, and that is by Style File. You can find these markers, in the Brutus Monroe shop. They are very economical. However, what I have noticed about them, first of all, the tips. You have a really nice tip that is comparable to the Copic marker. Both of those are really nice. So I love the tips on the style file. And then the other end on the style file is a broad tip. So it definitely is set up the same way that a Copic is. I also like the size on these. I think that this is a nice size to draw with. But the one thing that I noticed is that the top, what the colors say on the top are not what comes out of the pin itself. So you really do, like I would think CG5 first, then CG6, and then, oh, actually the 4 first, right? So you really want to just go off to the side and see which ones you can lay. And these are super dark. So to me, they come across darker on the lids than they're lighter on the lids than they are in the actual ink. So I'm just going to do the same type technique on these, and these bleed through really bad onto the back of your project. So you need to definitely make sure you have at least one sheet of copy paper down, because you will get your bleed through coming right back onto your project. And even one sheet, even two, you may have some bleed through coming back. So that's one of the drawbacks to these, is that the bleed through on them is significant. But with that being said, they're beautiful. I mean, you still get that teardrop type end. They hold up nice. They've never leaked on me. So I do use them. I am kind of a fan. But I just know that the color is not necessarily true, that I need to have several sheets of paper behind the image that I'm drawing or that I'm coloring on, because it will bleed through. All right, so from here, I'm going to go over it with my second color, which is the CG5, and it's the Cool Gray 5. And I'm just going to do that same type technique. And my paper, as I'm touching this, it's wet. Whereas the other ones, you know, you would think the alcohol markers dry fairly quickly, but these tend to stay a little bit more wet a little bit longer. I want to say they're $2.99 or $3.99 a piece. I haven't bought, and they have held up really, really nicely for me. And see, it goes on real strong, but then it does kind of blend in with that lighter color and level itself out, which is really nice. And again, I'm no colorist by any means. Just trying to get this down a little bit fast. Okay, so from here I'm going to go over with the darker, and then I'm going to blend it out again with the lighter. And that is just something that you want to do all the time when working with Copics. You always want to end it with your blending of your lighter color again. So as you can see, I'm just really doing thinner lines than I did before, following the illustrator lines. Always got to follow those illustrator lines. All right, now we need to blend the whole thing out. So I'm going to go back to the lightest one I used, which was the CG4, and I'm just going to add it on. Now, the one thing that I noticed with these two other alcohol inks, the Copic markers, when I blended it out like this, it did not add any additional color. It did not darken up my image at all. It kept it fairly light. Now, with these Style File that you can find in Brutus Monroe, these are out of Germany, and then the Close to My Heart Touch ones, I did notice that it does, I mean, look at that. That's a lot darker than that side. So it does add it just makes it darker. So keep that in mind when you're doing your project, if you're going to use something other than the Copics. So, I mean, I like all of them. Obviously, since I've bought all of them, I'm going to use them. I might use them for different things, but I'm still going to use them. All right. So there's that little guy, and he is cute. So this one was done with the Style File. This one was done with the Touch, and this one was done with the Copics. All grays, very, very different gray coverage. There's another one that I want to touch on, but I'm not going to color anything in with you with it because I did that last time, and I've already used it on my YouTube channel to color in an ink road stamp, which is this little image right here. And she was colored in with a brand new thing to hit the market, and that is a 3-in-1. It's a tri-blend by Spectrum Noir. This is amazing. I really like this. I'd like to get one of everything. It takes all the thinking out of your shading, and she looks so good. And it's the same basic principle. So I'm not sure how much these are. I know that they're more economical because they're all in one, but I don't have a link for that because I don't even know if it's hit the market yet or if it comes out in March. But do keep your eye out on these because it's really worth it. This went really good, and if you want to see how I did her, and I also used some colored pencils on the hair and stuff, check out that video. And I'm going to finish off our little page now that we have gotten ready at the beginning. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm actually going to build a 3D elephant head. And Dyan Reaveley's Dylusion line is so wonderful because it's so crazy, and you can pretty much build different, things you want. So I'm actually going to put that elephant head on my little guy, and I'm going to use the glue stick. It works really nice for her mixed media books, and I love the shape of it. It can really get into those corners that you may not be able to get into because it's a triangle, so it's just really nice with like square corners. Love this thing. All right, so I'm going to put this down. Then I'm going to put the base of one of the elephants down, and then I'm going to use pop dots and cut the elephant pieces down even more. So this kind of gets fun. So I think for the base of my elephant, I want to use the darker guy, and I didn't move him over far enough. Oh good, I can still move it. So I think I'm going to put this one down as my base, and then from there I'm going to build from darkest to lightest. Maybe I should do from lightest to darkest. I'll do from lightest to darkest. So I'm going to put this guy down with this little glue stick. And then I'm going to cut out like that. I'm going to basically, on this one, I'm going to cut out the ears And I'm going to put this on a pop dot, and this is just going to make this little guy jump. It's going to be so fun. So I'm cutting off these little dimples. And if you notice when I cut, this hand stays relatively still and I move with this hand. That actually is a Dyan Reaveley trick. Okay. All right, so I'm going to build onto this using some pop dots. And then I'm going to cut the trunk off of my other little guy and put him on top. And this just gives this some really fun dimension going on. Kind of makes the elephant pop off of the page. So again, I'm just going to hold my scissors still and I'm going to maneuver around with my other hand. Like so. And then, all right, so I'm going to take and pop dot this one on top of that trunk, and then we will add our little sentiments. Be done. All right, so here's this little guy's trunk. So he just has a little bit of fun dimension going on with him. And, you know, you definitely notice that trunk. Now, I love this stamp set. I actually bought it for the elephant because it's so cute. But the saying that I'm going to use is I'm pulling in, the more I see of men, the more I love animals. And so I need my... Go. And I am going to use the ink again provided by the Dylusions line because it is going on top of her paint. Now, something that you want to keep in mind when you're doing titles, I'm going to put this on a relatively busy area and it might not show up, but that's okay. I can go over the stamp again. I can do a ghost stamp over it or a double stamp with it with a different color to make it pop. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, it's no big deal. So let's see, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I may not have to do that, but I might, I don't know. So I'm just going to put this down off to the bottom right here. And you can kind of see it, it's cute, but I really want to make it stand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my teal and I'm going to just stamp over it with the teal. And I mean, you can do it really in any order. I usually do the darker color down first, just in case I want to add a little bit more. I can. Sometimes the lighter, you're almost certain that you're going to have to. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I'm not going to get it perfect. I know that. I'm not trying to. But this way, it just kind of makes it pop without making it look like I tried to double stamp and I screwed up. That's something to keep in mind. So the other thing I want to throw on here is I found a really, really cute saying from the Tim Holtz Small Talk. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is so funny. It is snarky comments. So I found this in there. It says, not my circus, not my monkeys fly. So I thought that that would be absolutely perfect with this little page. And I don't want to use the entire strip. It's too big. So I'm going to cut it up into just smaller strips and place those down like so. And then to make it really pop, I'm going to go around it in my paint over pen by, let's see, I have my paint over pen by Jane Davenport, and you can literally use this over paint. And I'm just going to go ahead and outline it. I don't want it like really crazy showing, but you know, enough to kind of make it pop. And then that's going to be my journaling page. Kind of goofy. I think it's cute though. But anyway, this is a Dyan Reaveley mixed media journal I've had for a while, and I have just been trying different techniques in it. I've tried to sketch. I got into a phase where I really like to do faces. I love hair, always have. But whenever I sit down and do a page, I always make sure I do several at a time so that my background can dry. And I always build. Like this is not a complete background yet. I need to go back and build on it. And so this is going to probably be in progress for a long time, which is okay. It's like a technique testing type art journal, I think. So it's pretty fun, but when pages do come together, they look really good. They're so much fun. And this isn't only Dyan Reaveley stuff in here. Like that's a done page, and that's totally Rita Bear Cat right there. That's her unicorn. But I really have fun in these. I think that they're super liberating. And yeah, it's not all the way done, but I also picked up one of Dyan Reaveley's, actually all of her journaling books. And so she teaches how to do this, how to do these type of techniques with these pages in the book. So I totally encourage you, if you have an opportunity to take her class or to at least get her book, to go ahead and do so, because it's very much worth it. I've learned a lot, and I've really had a fun time knowing that my style, which is kooky and whimsical, is totally okay. She probably is the artist that I learned that from the most. You know, that you can have a crazy, whimsical style, and it's totally cool. It can be just not even like, would you ever see that? I mean, a dog dressed up, much less in bright, bold colors with an elephant head. No, but in my world, yes. So here's another one. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Give this a video a thumbs up if you feel that it is deserving. And I hope you have a great week. Until next time, happy crafting. Oh, yay! Oh, hi, Trisha. You made the live. Now you can watch the rest on replay, whatever you missed. I'm so glad you could join me today.